Greetings, everybody. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you all for tuning in. Got another end of the year wrap-up video. I've seen it going around Facebook, a lot of people posting their top 5 Spotify stats, their top 5 most listened to artists, their top 5 most listened to songs and whatnot. I don't use Spotify, I use YouTube Music, but YouTube Music does the same thing. So I always think it's cool to look back and see what was played the most on my app throughout the year. So I've got my 5 most listened to bands, 5 most listened to songs, and then I'm going to also give you 5 of my favorite musical discoveries of the year and my favorite song of the year. So let's jump right into this, starting off with the 5 bands I listen to the most, at least on YouTube Music. Number 5, and I honestly would have thought this band would have probably been second, but number 5 was Alice in Chains. Listened to a lot of these guys this year. This is definitely one of the bands I was most into in 2024. As I've gotten into these guys more and more over the last couple of years, I think this year, I don't know, my love for them really exploded, especially this album right here, and I think that's probably what pushed it over the top, because initially, when I first listened to this album all the way through, I thought it was kind of awkward in a way, but this turns out to be an album that I can just kind of get lost in, and I've played the heck out of it this year. So Alice in Chains is my 5th most listened to artist on YouTube Music. My 4th was Pearl Jam. Probably has a lot to do with this new album right here, Dark Matter, but also going back and listening to pretty much every other Pearl Jam album when this one came out. I really dug back into Pearl Jam, listened to all the great Pearl Jam albums that I had, and then listened to some of the ones that I've acquired this year, and the one that I don't have, Gigaton. So listened to a lot of Pearl Jam, so they came in 4th. My 3rd most listened to artist was Deep Purple. I was actually kind of surprised Deep Purple finished number 3. I know I listened to a lot of them this year, but I kind of felt like Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam would have outscored them. But Deep Purple I spent the 3rd most time with, at least in YouTube Music. Number 2 was the band that I listened to the most in 2023. They finished 2nd this year. That is Rush. And I can kind of see that, because I don't think it really matters if I'm into Pearl Jam or if I'm in an Alice in Chains kick or if I'm in a kick of any other band, really. Rush is one of those bands where they can kind of sneak in there and still get some playtime for me, because it's not uncommon that I'll be listening to something else and then just out of the blue I'll be like, you know what? I need to go listen to the Analog Kid right now. Or you know what? I need to go listen to How It Is, or Farewell to Kings, or Bastille Day. You know, it's just that Rush itch just doesn't really ever leave you. And of course, the most played artist for me in 2024 is Bon Jovi. Brand new album from these guys this year, plus going back and listening to all the older stuff, as I always do when Bon Jovi releases new albums. I listen to Bon Jovi a lot any year anyway, so whenever there's new release, that just only kind of gets upped a little bit, I guess. But spent a lot of time listening to Forever, a lot of time listening to other great Bon Jovi albums like These Days, Keep the Faith, Crush, any of them really. I've gone through all of them this year, so Bon Jovi in 2024 is at the top of the list for me. My 5 most listened to songs, some were kind of surprising. Number 5 was Living in Paradise off the new Bon Jovi album. Such a catchy song, really feel-good track. I really love that one. Coming in at number 4 was What Price from Dokken, banging track. Not surprised that one made my top 5, because that I love that song. That's a great song. Number 3 was How It Is by Rush. And again, like I said, doesn't matter what kind of a mood I'm in, I always kind of slide some Rush in there somewhere. And How It Is just a great underrated Rush tune. So How It Is was my 3rd most played song on YouTube Music this year. Number 2, and I kind of got my son to thank for this one, but the opening credits to Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. Not that I'm beyond listening to Star Trek theme music or Star Trek soundtrack music, because I do, but my son is a big soundtrack kid, And I think the ones that he's not old enough to watch yet, like First Contact and Wrath of Khan, like he just wants to listen to the music of it, I think, because he's always asking for it. But between me and him, I think we got Wrath of Khan soundtrack. The main title came in at number 2. And my most played song of the year, kind of surprised me, but kind of not really, was Legendary, the new Bon Jovi single from the album Forever. I'm surprised that it wasn't another song from this album, like Walls of Jericho or Waves or even The People's House, but or even Living in Paradise. But Legendary was the song I played the most this year, so maybe just because I had Legendary before the album dropped. So Legendary came in as my most played song of the year. Next up, I wanted to go through some of my favorite musical discoveries this year. I picked up a lot of great stuff. I rediscovered a lot of great stuff too. But I tried to go with stuff that I discovered more so than rediscovered. And this one is kind of a borderline between, like, did I discover it this year or did I rediscover it? Because Warrant's Dog Eat Dog. I had heard a lot of this album, if not this whole album, in pieces in the past. I was familiar with, like, Machine Gun, Hole in My Wall, April 2031, and Andy Warhol was right pretty well. The deeper cuts, not as much. But I never owned this album before. And when I bought this at the record store, this wasn't even like the pickup I was the most excited about on that trip. But when I played this, it just clicked with me, and it's probably one of my most played albums of the year. It almost has to be either this or Forever. I played the heck out of this all summer long. It's such a great album, and as great as those first 4 songs are, the deeper cuts are just so amazing. So whether you want to consider that I discovered it or rediscovered it this year, Dog Eat Dog has become one of my favorite albums, and 2024 is the year that I first ever owned it. One that really surprised me how much I liked it was Deep Blue Something's Home. I picked this one up on a whim at Goodwill. And I like Breakfast at Tiffany's. I think it's a good song, kind of a good, cool, one-hit wonder type deal. But I didn't expect to really like it as much as I did. This whole album's really good. And Breakfast at Tiffany's is not even one of my favorite songs on this album. You know, you got songs like Halo, Josie, Done, Song to Make Love To, I Can Wait. A lot of great tunes on here. I was surprised how much I liked this. I thought I would pick it up for $1 or $2 at Goodwill, listen to it once or twice, and then never think about it again. But this is actually really good. There's an antique store about an hour away from me this year, and I have noticed this for years there, and I just never picked it up. And I started kind of getting into more of an extreme kick. I picked up Pornograffiti somewhere, I think at the record store, and really liked that one more than I thought I was going to. It was one of those albums that owning it clicked with me a lot more than streaming it ever did. And this album has my favorite extreme song, which has always been Rest in Peace. So when I went back there, I was really hoping that it would still be there. I mean, of course, after all these years, it would figure that it would finally sell right before I get to it. But it was still there. I got it, and I think this is a brilliant album. And everything on here is great. I really love the first side of this album, the Yours side, Warheads, Rest in Peace, Political Calamity, Color Me Blind, Peacemaker Die, all great stuff. Mine's got some really cool stuff like Seven Sundays, Tragic Comic, Stop the World, and The Truth. You got some more like progressive feeling stuff, which is really cool. 3 songs that all kind of go together in a way. So really cool stuff from Extreme. Really love this album. Nazareth. Excuse me. I really got into Nazareth this year, and especially their 70s material. So much great stuff, just straightforward hard rock. In this album in particular right here, Expect No Mercy is fantastic. Probably my favorite Nazareth album so far, but great stuff on here, like the title track, Gone Dead Train, Shot Me Down, I love that one, Revenge is Sweet. Place in Your Heart is a nice kind of softer, kind of ballady type song, All the King's Horses. So cool stuff here, Nazareth. Prior to this year, I really only knew Hair of the Dog, the album, and aside from that, didn't know a whole lot about Nazareth, but really got into their 70s material this year. And of course, most recently, I've been expanding my Dio collection, and especially like Dream Evil right here is a great album. So I knew some Dio in the past. I have the first 2 albums. I had Killing the Dragon back in the day, and a compilation that a friend of mine had. But albums like Sacred Heart, Dream Evil, stuff like this, I really had never heard those albums, except for like one random song or two, before. So I think they're fantastic. So the last thing that I wanted to do in this video was kind of give you what I would consider my favorite song of the year. Thought about doing a top 10, top 5 or whatever, but that just wound up being way too hard of a list. I thought maybe I should just select one song and crown it my favorite song of the year. But I do want to give some honorable mentions, because I had a list of songs that I was choosing between as my favorite song of the year. Living in Paradise from Bon Jovi. That one got cut last second. But I love that song. It's a really nice, feel-good track. The Emptiness Machine from Linkin Park. I actually considered that one. I like the song that much. I'm not even a Linkin Park fan, but I don't know. Something about that song just really hit. I like the lyrics a lot, and I like when the song picks up when Emily Armstrong starts to sing. I think she's got a great voice. I don't know much about Dead Sarah's. I've only heard of that band in passing, so maybe I should check them out. But I think she's got a great voice, and I get all the negativity and all the controversy around her joining the band, but I think it sounds great. I'm not even a Linkin Park fan, but maybe that's the problem, I guess. But I definitely thought about the Emptiness Machine. Scared of Fear from Pearl Jam. That's kind of become my favorite song off of that album. Just such a catchy chorus. It just doesn't really leave my head, and I think Eddie Vedder sounds great. Scared of Fear is a great song. Bluer Than So Blue off the new Collective Soul album. I mean, really cool song. I think it starts off with a really killer bass line from Will Turpin, and then it kind of goes into a really cool guitar lick from Jesse Triplett, and then Ed Roland comes in with his kind of signature, like really bizarre lyrics, but for some reason Ed Roland makes it work. He is such a unique lyricist that it is I don't think anybody else could pull off some of the lyrics that he throws into his songs. They're just so out in the left field sometimes, and this song is definitely no exception. With the opening line, telephone rings while I'm a bird in the bush, the conversation is always such and such, yet Ed Roland makes it work. But just reading that on paper is like a really weird line. So yeah, I thought about Bluer Than So Blue. It's one of the more rockin' tracks on the new Collective Soul album, and it's probably the one that has solidified itself as my favorite. But I think when it's all said and done, I come down to the decision that my favorite song of the year has to be Walls of Jericho off the new Bon Jovi album. Such a catchy track from start to finish. The only thing that could have made this song more perfect would have been a guitar solo. Really let Phil X loose, and there's a perfect spot in the song right before they go back to the chorus for the final time, in between the bridge and the last run through the chorus. Perfect spot to extend the song and let Phil X just rip one. As much as I love Bon Jovi, I kind of feel like I kind of feel like that Phil X is like a caged animal. Like they need to just let him go, let him rip some stuff. That would be so awesome. And this song would be perfect because it's so catchy. I love the lyrics. I love the melody. I love the kind of gang vocals in the beginning of the song. The kind of almost makes you just want to like clap along with it. The riff is cool. The message is great. It's just all around. It's a great Bon Jovi song. Like I said, the only thing that could have made it more perfect would have been to let Phil X rip a solo in that song. But otherwise, Walls of Jericho is a great song. Very catchy. It's my ringtone. And it just doesn't really ever leave my head. So Walls of Jericho, I have to say, has been my favorite song of 2024. So in the comments below, if you've got Spotify or YouTube music stats that you want to share, I would love to see what your most played bands and songs of the year were. What were some of your favorite musical discoveries, and what was your favorite brand new song of the year? I think all that would be really cool to hear. So let me know in the comments if you like this kind of content. Give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel for more videos like this in the future, and I will see you all later.